Grief, loneliness, and stress. They are everywhere, in our social media, in our habits, and in our relationships. We live in a world in which stress is highly prominent. For many people, it can even feel like pain is, the default setting. But through all of it, we find a way to laugh. A cutting meme in a group chat, a sarcastic one-liner whilst arguing, or maybe someone cracking a joke at a funeral, and somehow, people find it funny. Humor sometimes exists where it shouldn't, but maybe that's exactly where it needs to be. This video essay is going to explore exactly why humans turn to comedy in their darkest moments, and whether laughter is just a distraction or something deeper. Scientifically, laughter is one of the most neurologically beneficial things we can do. According to Comedy Heals by the JED Foundation, laughter stimulates the brain's reward center by releasing dopamine. That feel-good chemical then in turn lowers cortisol levels, which is the hormone that is most closely related with stress. And here's the wild part, even fake laughter works. Your brain doesn't fully differentiate between forced and genuine laughter when it comes to chemical responses. In the article Ha Ha He He Health, psychologists argue that humor acts like a reset button for the body. It may not erase the cause of the stress, but it gives you enough of a break to breathe, sometimes literally. That breath is the beginning of survival. The response to comedy isn't random, it's universal. ER doctors use dark humor. Soldiers crack jokes before missions. Students laugh at their own failure on tests and exams. It's not because the situation is funny, but it is because the distance is necessary. In cognitive psychology, this is called cognitive reappraisal, which is the act of reframing a situation to lessen its emotional impact. Humor creates psychological distance between ourselves and the trauma. This is enough to stop it from swallowing us. Taika Waititi's Jojo Rabbit takes one of history's most horrific chapters, Nazi Germany, and filters it through humor. Why? Not to make light of genocide, but to create a lens absurd enough for us to actually look at it. In The Effects of Humor When Coping with Stress, researchers argue that comedy allows indirect confrontation. It softens the emotional blow, so we can approach what once felt unapproachable. In Jojo Rabbit, the childlike perspective doesn't erase the war. It simply renders it in a language the heart can understand. Humor becomes a tool, not to forget pain, but instead to make it viewable, so that it can be dealt with in a different way. No one represents this paradox better than Robin Williams. On stage, he radiated joy, moving at a speed that barely allowed room for sadness. Off stage, though, he faced depression, addiction, and severe loss in many different types of ways. In an interview, he once said, "Comedy is acting out of optimism." And for many comedians, the stage isn't a spotlight, it's a refuge. They aren't drawn to laughter because they're always happy. They're drawn to it because it offers what pain never could: control, connection, and even clarity. It gives them demand over their own struggles, which provides them with a feeling of control over the situation that previously felt helpless. Henry Matisse's A Clown's Funeral shows us a contradiction: a grinning clown laid to rest while mourners cry. This piece of art is heartbreaking, but it's also honest. Sometimes humor isn't just healing, it's hiding. Paul Laurence Dunbar captured this in the poem We Wear the Mask, in which he writes, "It hides our cheeks and shades our eyes, this debt we pay to the human guile." Humor can become a performance, a costume, and for many people, especially men or people of color or trauma survivors, it becomes a requirement in day-to-day life. You become the funny one, not because you're happy, but because it's safer than being vulnerable. It provides a mask to hide behind when times get tough, and that's necessary in today's society. Zora Neale Hurston's Their Eyes Were Watching God shows us Janie smiling and laughing, but also slowly unraveling inside. Her laughter keeps the community comfortable, but at the same time, it keeps herself isolated. Similarly, in Hamlet, Shakespeare arms his protagonist with sarcasm. Hamlet jokes at the expense of others, mocks death, and he uses humor as a weapon.
I do not well understand that. Will you play upon this pipe?
My lord, I cannot. I pray you. Believe me, I cannot.
I do beseech you.
I know no touch of it, my lord.
But underneath it all, he's collapsing. The lesson? Humor can be armor, but armor gets heavy sometimes. And sometimes the funniest people are the ones least willing or least able to take theirs off. And yet, for all its complexity, humor still gives us hope. It connects us, it unites us, it builds bridges between people who might otherwise feel like complete and total strangers. In the Healing Powers of a Good Laugh article, researchers found that shared laughter doesn't just boost mood. It improves immunity, lowers blood pressure, and increases emotional connection. In this case, laughter is synchronization. It's a handshake of the heart. When someone laughs at your joke, it's not just validation, it's recognition. They're saying, I get it, I felt that, and you're not alone. And while that might seem trivial to a lot of people, in a society where trauma and emotional stress prevail, that small connection and that small affirmation go a long way. So, why do we laugh, even when we're hurting? Because laughter is resistance. It is our reminder that we're still here, that the pain didn't take everything, that we still have something that's ours. In a world that often spins out of control, humor is a small act of rebellion. It's not about ignoring what's wrong. It's about surviving it, together. Laughter might not fix everything, but it helps us carry it. Because in the end, humor isn't the opposite of pain. In fact, it's just what pain becomes when we dare to face it and live anyway. It's just how we carry pain.